And I mean, this is also that example, and I think I know you also haven't spoken about. This is also that example that we say of like skip dates, you know, like the big Harvard professor. You know, one day he's jogging, he left his keys, he lost his keys when he was jogging. Now he's trying to get into his house, and he lives in Beverly Hills, like the poshest side of Beverly. He's trying to get into his house. He figures out, let me jump the wall. As he's jumped the wall, you know, already neighbors have been saying, well, there's a strange black man walking around. Already they've been looking. The moment he tries to jump the wall, they are there. And he's trying to explain to them, well, man, I am the most important professor in this country. Not black professor. I am the most important professor. Flatline. I'm not the most important black professor. These people are just like, what is this Negro saying? They cuff him and then, you know, this is the headline, you know, in the news, skip gate, and he's looking, as they cuff him, he's really looking like, no, he's looking like the Negro that jumps walls. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And this is us again. This is the black unconscious at work. That even when people, if you didn't know who skip gate was, when you saw it, you were like, hey, man, and then you saw this man, why did this little man jump fences there? You know what I mean? So I mean, I think this is also what is at play. And how do we remedy these things that we see of ourselves in the world? Like, I mean, we're in Joburg, right? And we are in downtown Joburg, right? How do you reckon with what is happening? How do you know, walking in the street, when I walk in the street with my partner, she walks in front of me. Because I grew up in the city, I know what's going on in the city. You know what I mean? And you can see these guys working, right? Cats are working on the sides. Yeah? One is pushing one to the corner. How do you map that in your psyche? And how do you deal with that? And I mean, you know, how you're saying it today. You know, you have mechanics of walking the city. And just to have those mechanics, bro. What does that mean? Is that not violence? Eh? To have those mechanics of being able to walk the city like that, like you know, you click the down, and someone's pushing you, ready, you ready? Yeah, you know what I mean. So how do you come to terms with
that? Not just come to terms, but come to terms in an emancipatory and not anti-black way, because we can respond in a similarly, almost like the other story you were telling about now having to
now having
to release someone else's life. Remember that story you were saying?
So, for me, it will be again going back to what you were saying, the African indigenous systems. Yeah, I think like this, there's a way that they managed to control us, like breaking us from our own systems that were already there. Like for instance, I was studying John Smart. Why did he come here? Why did he very strict? So this man, how he came about is that Spanish was just to trace out why these people are they living so free, so he had to study black people, how they live, why were they so lazy, because there was diamond, there was gold, black people already knew a lot about themselves. So the only way was breaking them. And like so like when I'm thinking about the 7 African principles that we already had, spirituality, which is justice, truth, loyalty, balance, order, reciprocity. So
can you say them again about
justice, truth,
okay, truth,
balance, order,
justice, loyalty, righteousness, balance, order, reciprocity. So in a way, key 7 principles of African spirituality. So if our government was really following these principles, we wouldn't have Ushupea, we wouldn't even need prisons, because already, if you know these things from waking up in the morning, already you've got a system that is controlling you. Going outside of your yard, you will never abuse anyone, or you will never have a need to take from anyone. So it's just that we need to know those systems.
You know what you're saying is so important. Wait, man.
No, because Don't be
No,
honest.
listen, no, I'm not, wait, I'm not finished. No, I can't, wait, listen.
No, I think context.
Yeah, but I think something, you know, I'm reading about slavery in South Africa right now. And they were saying, you know, the reason that the Great Hack happened is because the slaves were being emancipated in the Cape Colony. So, and the slaves were being now, you know, trying to be first class citizens. And you see now I lost my track of thought. But and just how
You're going to talk about was there not violence before? Were you going to say something at that point?
can you say what you said again, Peter?
It is based on probably the principles that people were following. Because if you are following principles, there's no need for you to go out and abuse other people.
I hear you. Yes, sir.
Or deprive other people of something. Because already you alone, you need balance. You alone, you need to be righteous in order for you to be able to treat other people fair. So following those systems, then our political system of government will then be doing what they are doing. Like COVID-19 showed us. So these people got so many billions, but they couldn't even share their way to attend these. They couldn't. It was for every man for himself who can pay for it. Yeah. Sure.
No, I was saying. We're talking about the jail system, you know, and how the construction of the jail system comes into play in South Africa in context to the thing Nikki about the slave, you know, when the slaves got emancipated, there was questions around morality, you know. When the Great Hack happened, it was questions around what they used to call the apprenticeship. You know, from 1834 to 1838. Slavery gets abolished in South Africa 1834. But from 1834 to 1838, they say all the slaves must come and be re-socialized on how to be proper citizens. And this re-socialization happens, you know, in a way that makes them vulnerable to work, to places of living. You know, I mean, we're speaking about unemployment, we're speaking about lack of shelter. These are conditions of slavery. And you know, so when people are trying to say that, you know, the black is in a perpetual state of slavery, you know, the condition of slavery is not being whipped, you know, with a chain or being shackled and chained, but it's the condition to not have these necessary conditions to be human, you know, shelter, food, and all these things. Practice being a father, being a mother, choosing not to be and choosing to be, you know. So I mean, there's all these things that I think, even if we start to look at the sort of like indigenous system, we face the construction of the violent way in which these categories were built. That the knowledge system itself finds itself corrupted by the very same violence, like we were saying about Mziligas, you know. Like I think there's a way that, you know, Matopo Hill has this man. Matopo Hill is one, again, site within the southern sphere that has so much knowledge. But Matopo Hill is colonized and it is tribalized, you know. And how this indigenous knowledge system, if we want to call it that, is being made political is the problem. That Matopo can't get out of the political battle of the geography, the drawing of the lines, the drawing of, you know, where are you from? Yeah, you know, Great Zimbabwe, you know. And I mean, this is also, I think, you know, the problematic, you know, and this is what we were raising that yesterday. You didn't let me finish, you know, of the problematic of sort of like how we might conceive of indigenous knowledge systems that are still tied to a framework that can't divorce itself from violence. Even this framework itself, you know, like it can't refuse the the violence of how it's been constructed, you know. And this violence is not, it gets reproduced by people who make studies out of it. Like we were saying, that you know, indigenous knowledge system is becoming a funding space. You know, people are getting money out of the space now. And they're getting money precisely because the space is secured as separate, you know, in the very apartheid geography way, you know. I'm gonna go study. Yeah, I'm gonna study the Botswanas. I'm gonna study the Xhosas. I'm gonna study the Zulus. You know, people are still creating PhDs, and you know, out of anthropological work. You know, and anthropology should be banished, but this work is still happening. People are still going to sites, you know, in the rural, interviewing our grandmas and saying they're doing research. You know, they say, you know, because they say black people have oral knowledge, and you know, and now these sites of oral knowledge are our grandmas. You know, our grandmas are getting invaded, and they becoming sites of the gays to be like, hey, okay. So you know, and the quintessential example is Mom Esther. You know, how this indigenous knowledge system of what we want to call Ndebele people is being mobilized. And we want to say it's cultural pride, you know. I mean, so I think that's the tension that sits with these moments of the indigenous side of our understanding. And I mean, I think we need a serious revolution to be able to be free to create the world as we see it.
When we look at